And now for a take on libertarianism and the libertarian political movement more broadly, Judd Weiss.
Hi guys. So a lot of you have seen me walk around with a camera, and I'm pretty good with the camera, and I'm taking pictures of libertarians, and I'm trying to make these nerds look cooler. That's one nerd at a time. That's what I've been doing, and I've been doing this all around the world. I'm in Australia right now. I was recently in Guatemala. I've seen the liberty scene in Nepal, in Asia, in Bali. I've been all over the world and all over the US because everybody who has any kind of event in the liberty scene wants me to shoot it, whether it's at a Denny's or at an international event. So I've been choosing these international events, and I've seen the liberty movement all around the country and pretty much all around the world. And I can say without any hesitation that the biggest sinkhole of time, energy, money, resources, and emotion in the entire liberty movement is the Libertarian Party. It is the cage match arena where libertarians fight with each other over positions of no power. It's absolutely embarrassing. It's actually backwards. And so when I go around to the liberty movement in different places, I speak straight. I can speak very honestly that it's really beautiful to see the liberty movement growing in Australia. This is a really beautiful sight. It doesn't just come from nowhere. It's sprouting. People are actually being cooperative. They're trying to figure out ways to actually do something positive. And they're actually somewhat cooperative with each other. They're not just bickering and fighting. There's a little bit of that. And you'll see in the wider liberty movement, and the Libertarian Party in the US is just a small, tiny part of the liberty movement. And there's a reason why the liberty movement, for the most part, is separated and isolated and has nothing to do with the party. And the thing is that if you see these little bit of squabbles every once in a while, people write 3-page papers arguing with their friends over minute details that is a life and death importance, but you'll see fights. Ayn Rand Institute fights with everybody, Mises fights with Cato sometimes, and there's different arguments, but these squabbles are pretty much minor. Most people do their own thing. But if you could imagine this whole liberty movement, all of the organizations, there's tons of think tanks, tons of organizations doing their own missions. If all of them were wiped out, and it was all replaced with one organization representing the entire liberty movement, and everybody had to vote for how that organization is going to move forward, can you imagine the absolute, utter bloodbath war that we're going to have in the liberty movement amongst each other? And that's the Libertarian Party. Everyone's got to vote on which direction the party goes. And there's maybe 17 or so warring factions in the Libertarian Party, all deciding, trying to get the point across that they are the right representatives, that we need to move in that direction. And so I got in that in a big way when John McAfee, does everybody here know who John McAfee is? John McAfee is this crazy maniac who started McAfee Antivirus, sold that company for $100 million in the 90s, decided to eventually retire in Belize, ran into some extreme corruption with the government there. His neighbor got shot execution style, and he just booked it and escaped through a manhunt through the jungle, out of the country, comes back to America, broke with nothing, only the bags in his hand, and decides to run for president on the Libertarian Party ticket. He didn't win, Gary Johnson won, but I was his VP running mate. And when the opportunity came for me to run with McAfee, I was so excited. It was like a band comes in town and they're about to go on a European tour, and I have a chance to jump on the bus, and I just couldn't pass that up. So it was really cool, it was really exciting, and everybody's asking me, what was that like, running with McAfee? That was really amazing. What was that like? It was like I was airdropped into the Hunger Games. Suddenly I'm in a pit of wolves clawing and scratching, and I didn't want to fight with anybody. I just thought, this is really cool. I want to do some cool stuff. I want to reimagine what's possible. I'm not even a great public speaker. I just have strong opinions and I'll speak. I had an idea that our libertarian messaging was terrible. It was absolutely not appealing to me. It wasn't interesting, and I wanted to now have a shot at trying to reimagine something interesting, bring in a little bit of innovation, because we are pushing for innovation in the world and technology in our businesses, but libertarians themselves are completely lacking in innovation. The Libertarian Party even more so. So I come around to the libertarian movement and the different liberty organizations, and I'm coming bearing gifts. I'm bringing photos. I'm trying to make the image better. I'm trying to make it look like not just a bunch of socially awkward nerds you want to avoid, but how do you get into that? That looks cool. That's exciting. That's interesting. And it's working. It's having a powerful effect. And I didn't want to argue about it. I didn't want to write pages about it. I just took a camera, and I'm OCD, and I went too far down the rabbit hole, and I took way too many photos, and I demonstrated the power of imaging, the power of packaging. And it wasn't an argument. It wasn't even, I didn't make a case. Those photos don't convince anybody we're right. They just show people that we might want to be part of this. So I come bearing gifts wherever I go. And it's only the Libertarian Party where when you come bearing gifts, you're met with baseball bats. Because as soon as I got in, their focus was on figuring out how they could tear me down, whatever way they could. It was, I've been around the liberty movement since the mid-90s. When I was 14, I got a copy of Anthem, and then I just read all of her books, and I got into Ayn Rand's books, and then I got read dozens of books on politics, or hundreds maybe now. I've read, I don't know, countless articles, written articles. I debate this stuff. I'm a political nerd. We all are nerds in this room. We're past that threshold of nerds. We're into politics. There's, I don't know how many tens of millions of people in this country, but they're not here. We are the political nerds. This is our esoteric thing. And I've been into this for a while. I have never seen anything in my 20 plus years in this movement as vicious and nasty as the Libertarian Party, and specifically the Gary Johnson campaign, which really surprised me. We are funding activism with our Libertarian Party. That's supposed to be activism for libertarian activists. And we have now Libertarian Party activists and Gary Johnson activists that are contradicting liberty activism. And that's where I see it as a problem. It's not just whether any crimes are committed or it's unethical, because politics is dirty, and I knew that. I just didn't know it was this vicious and nasty and corrupt within the Libertarian Party. And I was surprised because Gary Johnson's been a friend of mine for a long time. I held fundraisers for him in 2012, and I was surprised at how vicious and nasty they were, that libertarian activists are donating to a campaign that's funding more attacks and strife and inner conflict and infighting. And that's my problem. That's what I can't support. So when you come to the Libertarian Party and you have any sort of idea, there's an underlying question that's unspoken. You and what army? You can only do something if you bring enough people in to fight for what you're going to push for, because nothing is going to change, because it has to be approved. This is the way things are done. This is what's approved with their committees. Libertarian Party is where libertarians go to be bureaucratic socialists. And I feel like I know so many people throughout the liberty movement. I could raise an army. I could bring it in, and I could fight for not being totally useless, bickering nerds. I could do that. But then I'm one of the retards fighting with everyone else. I just don't want to be fighting. I wanted to do something cool and different. So that's what I focused on. Now, I think, I don't know how libertarians got lost in bylaws land, but they're like stuck in this world. And I think that being an unpleasant asshole is mandated in the bylaws of the Libertarian Party. I wouldn't know. I would never waste a minute of my life reading any bylaws, ever. But it's a reasonable assumption to make if you've ever been to a libertarian gathering, a Libertarian Party gathering. Just look, turn your neck to the left or right, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It is absolutely miserable for the people in the party. Now, I talked a little bit, I don't know how many people were here the other day, I talked a little bit about the war between the engineers and the salesmen. Because we have an issue, people are constantly talking about the war between the moderates and the purists. And that's not really what's going on. What's really going on is in every company, we're capitalists, we believe in division of labor. And the companies that we support, there's a reason why there's a division of labor between the engineers and the salesmen. Because the engineers, in order to engineer a good product, they shouldn't be able to sleep at night unless the numbers all add up. They should hash out these technicalities. That's relevant. We need good engineers. Otherwise, we're Republicans. We need good engineering. But that high-level, detailed nitpickiness has nothing to do with introduction. It's not the showroom floor. And can you imagine what would happen if a car company said, screw all these sales guys? The engineers know the car much better. Let's just have the engineers sell direct on the showroom floor. Can you imagine what would happen? You would have the Liberty Movement, because that's what we are. We're a bunch of engineers dominating the sales department. Engineers have a vital place, but that's not sales. Engineers have to be right. They have to be, and they should be. Salespeople have to understand people. Their focus is not the product, their focus is on people. And this situation that I'm looking at with the Libertarian Party, we've got a bunch of socially awkward nerds arguing for purity, fighting with a bunch of socially awkward nerds arguing for moderism. And the problem is neither of them has any solution to offer that's going to result in anything positive. The problem is there were a bunch of socially awkward nerds that were out of touch. Those are technical details, fights behind the scenes. That has nothing to do with introducing these things. So what is really the problem here is Libertarian Party is embarrassing for us to introduce our friends to. That's why we're not growing. That's why we're disregarded in the corner for the last several decades. We need to be cool. We need to be interesting. We need to be exciting. And unfortunately, if I was going to give the Libertarian Party a slogan, it would be, the Libertarian Party, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it not kick you. You can't do anything there without a fight. And I think I figured out the value of the Libertarian Party. It's not to win elections or even to, it's got a value to the Liberty Movement. I figured it out just recently. I was thinking about this the other day. It's not to win elections. It's not to even achieve anything at all. It's basically the Liberty Scene's quarantine pen for the most toxic elements in the movement. The Libertarian Party is a dog kennel. You can't have these dogs, loose rabid dogs biting people. You need to put them somewhere. And that's the Libertarian Party, the place for angry libertarians who need a chew toy. And that chew toy is each other. And so maybe that is a function, that's why the Liberty Movement needs the Libertarian Party. And the reason I'm saying all this is not to be a dick. The reason I'm saying this is because I put in so much energy into this movement and I want us to do something well. I'm giving tough love because it's love. And I'm desperate for us to change. So I will not cheerlead what's negative. The Libertarian Party, useless would be an improvement. Right now they're actually harmful, they're wasteful, they're negative, and funding more of this is actually bringing us backwards. It's not helping us. And I was talking about during this last election that the word electability needs to be banned from any Libertarian Party discussion. And the reason why is because we don't have the numbers to win elections. Why are we discussing this? That's totally irrelevant. Has anybody here seen the show Game of Thrones? There's a big, giant 700-foot wall of ice in the show that separates the extreme cold north from the rest of the kingdoms. And up above there's a bunch of people that live there called the wildlings in the north. And in the north, they're called the free people. And winter is coming, they're all gonna die, so they need to get over this wall. But the leader over there, the king of the north in that area, rounded up everybody. He didn't just try to climb the wall when he had a few people with him because it's a suicide mission. The wall is guarded and they're all gonna die. He rounded up 1 million free people to climb over that wall. And right now, that's what we need to do. We can't climb this wall. We're not gonna win. It's a stupid mission. It's just, Libertarian Party campaigns are all suicide missions. And what we need to do is gather. We need to excite people, we need to be interesting, we need to gather, we need to grow this movement because there's not enough angry nerd libertarians to win an election right now. If there was, I would be giving different advice, but there isn't. So we need to now grow. There's no way past 5% for the Libertarian Party unless we stop being the party focused on 5%. Because how exciting is that? How inspiring is it to be a part of this party that might get 5% this election? That's not interesting. We need to move this protest. So what we do have to offer is we have some people, we have some money, and we have 50 state ballot access. And with that, we have a platform. And with that platform, we can speak to people, we can reach people, and we can grow this liberty movement. And electability is valid as long as it serves the prime directive of getting attention and interest. If it does, if it gets its attention and interest, that's relevant, but only if it serves that prime directive. Otherwise, it should never be interfering. It should never combat being, getting some interest, getting some attention, and being exciting. So right now, in this last election, we had door number A, that sucks. Door number B, that sucks. Now everyone's looking at door C, and we were saying, we suck too. We're just like what you guys are used to, sucking. We're totally uninteresting, we're establishment, but we don't have any power as well. So we are now, it's like if there was on the market cream cheese and butter as two options. Blander butter is not a third option. We cannot be establishment without any power. That's not interesting. That's not actually a third option. What we need to do is be the interesting option, be exciting. And like I've said before, half of the country by definition, or half of people by definition, are below average, by definition. And we're focusing on the top 2 to 5% of intellectuals out there. We're ignoring everybody else. The people if we want, I want us to continue this intellectual battle. We should. We should fight the academic fight. But in addition to that, we should speak to everybody else who's not an academic, who's not interested in. Can we speak to the people who are not into politics, which is a majority of the population? They're not interested in politics. So we don't even have to make an argument. Just be the cool option. Provide a vision. Nobody actually knows how the iPhone works, but that's the cooler option. They don't need to be phone engineers. They don't even need to be extreme techies to understand. In fact, all the clever girls and grandma can use an iPhone. Everybody can use an iPhone. It's just the easier, cool option. And we need to sell a vision and stop putting these engineer spec sheets. So what I really want to get across is we need to sell a better vision and we need to create a better experience. Our experience is miserable. The old rules are dead. Nobody wants to play that game anymore. We shouldn't be playing that game anymore. There is only one rule, and it's hardcore. Do what pulls at you. If you're not a fan of it, don't do it. Follow what pulls at you. Be the badass that you want to be. Be exciting, be interesting. Stop tempering yourself in order for foolish concepts like electability. We're not going to get that. Apple cannibalizes all of their products because they just took out all the ports and they have this USB-C ports on their latest things and everybody's upset because they're living in the future. They took off the floppy disk drive, they took off the CD drive before everybody else. They just live in the future as an ideal and they're showing what the future is. I'm not an Apple user, I'm a PC user. I like my flexibility. But we need to be showing people what a vision of the future is. And we are playing the games of the past. And we're not inspiring anybody with that. So we need to demonstrate the innovation that we're pushing for. And I want to leave this. I showed the other day 3 videos from our campaign. With that campaign, I wanted to do something totally different, fresh, and I wanted to break rules. I wanted it to not look presidential whatsoever. I just wanted to show a different way. And I don't want people to copy me. I just want people to do their own thing, to do what pulls at them. And the first 3 videos that I showed the other day, some of you were here, some of you weren't, they were different. But that last video, the first one was kind of lighthearted and fun. The second one was like a beautiful trance that I created, and it had that message of voting different. The third one, War is Hell, was super aggressive. But the 4th video, that was the final one before the nomination, I wanted to break as many rules as I possibly could. I wanted to demonstrate that these rules are over. That's the message of the video. Maybe I've broken as many rules as I could except for maybe nudity and extreme gore. This video broke rules and it demonstrated that we're not playing this game anymore and that nobody is, and we've got a different way. So I want to play that for you really quick, and we're going to turn it over to Q&A. So this is a video called Exit Politics.